All right, we are now live, and it will show me who is watching, and right now no one is watching. So
that's okay.
My dog is like asking for her treat back. She's got a piece of paper. So I do have a dog. My daughter I delivered down the street to my husband. So
okay.
I was like 5 minutes before, we starting at 2, and at 1:30 she's like, I really want to go to Dad's right now, and I'm like, I can't believe you're doing this to me. So whoever you are that just joined us, or I think if maybe you could say hi. I can't tell who's there. And they should be able to post, if they post a comment in the video, then I think that I can see them. I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring out how this works. It doesn't look like anybody's watching. So, well, I can tell one, it could be that it could just be me. Oh, no, see, it's gone now. Anyway, maybe they just popped in and said, this isn't interesting. So anyway.
You can always watch later.
So I'm talking to Jennifer White Mattey, who used to be Jennifer Jill White.
Yeah.
You always have 3 names. So you changed.
I still use that name, Jennifer Jill White, like in the credits for like things, because it's just too hard to change that now.
Yeah. So tell me, where are you living, and what is your home situation like right now?
So I live in New York City. Mm-hmm. I live in Queens, Astoria, for those that are not familiar. It's like part of New York City, but it's outside of Manhattan. Mm-hmm. The situation here is, it's a little grim here, to say the least. I mean, being in the epicenter of all of this madness, it's kind of hard to put into words, because, you live in a city that's like so bustling and moving all the time, where part of our life is just like being outside and walking. We walk to the subway and we walk. And so like now that's come to like a screeching halt. Yeah. But yet we still have to go outside, because we still have to we don't have a dog, but people have dogs and they have to walk their dogs. We don't have backyards or front yard, to sort of isolate. So it's, we're still going out, but it's in such a different way. It's weird.
So where do you shopping? Like,
it hasn't been the most.
Is everything available to you still, or how often are you going out?
The stores are open. Yeah, so the stores are open, like essential stores, and restaurants do takeout. Mm-hmm. They have started as the week has it's progressively got more information about this. What's going on is it's gotten more restrictive, I guess. So for example, if you have to go to CVS, they make you wait outside in the line.
Oh, sure.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
It froze a little bit.
It's okay. We can still hear you. You can just keep talking. Yeah.
Okay. Am I frozen a little bit?
Just a little bit, but it's all right. Just keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so things just have become more restrictive as more information about this virus has, been learned, and the more, seriousness of it has come about. So we, for the most part, I would say myself and my son have barely go outside. My husband does the majority of the shopping. Yeah. If we don't have it delivered, we try to get grocery delivery and stuff like that. I did go to the store yesterday for something. It was the first time that I did in a long time. I wore a mask and, everything. But I have to say, it's this paranoia sets in, even though I'm not
sure.
I'm freaked out by it, but I was like, oh, I'll be fine. But as soon as I got outside,
we don't want to get sick, right? Nobody wants to get sick because it's really bad. You just keep hearing and reading all the stories and everything. And I think that I've had to, for the first month I've been thinking about doing something like this for, and having conversations with people and seeing what people are doing in the industry. But I was like, it's hard to know what to do, because there's so many people that are so sick, and, all of the healthcare workers that are working this crazy, in these crazy situation right now. So, how is work for you now? So are you still able to work, or what's been going on?
Well, so for work, can you hear me okay? Because it's a little choppy on my end. Okay.
Now I lost you.
There, is that better?
Okay.
There we go. Working out the kinks. The show must go. So.
Did you go downstairs? Did you change rooms on us?
I just turned the computer. I'm like, maybe if I face it towards where the internet reception is. So you asked the question, like my work situation. So I have been in a lucky situation, I think. I work, I'm a freelancer, but I do work at MTV and a show called Teen Mom. So it's a reality docuseries. But anyway, because our show, we were like at the tail end of finishing up filming with, our cast when this all happened. So we had like a few more, things to shoot to get to our last episode. And then this all happened. And then we were just in the edit. So I'm still working because we're in the edit and I still have things to do. I have to process invoices. I have to pay the cast. I have all this stuff that has to do. So I'm still working. So it hasn't really affected me in that way, but I did have to like lay off or, put people on hiatus or whatever, furlough, whatever word you want to use,
right?
In the field, because we didn't know, it was like this 2-week pause. And then it was like, this is not looking good. So in majority of our show, we film like not in New York. It's across the United States.
Yeah. So
we're traveling, like that's our show is traveling. All of our crew travels.
Okay.
And
so when do you think you'll be back? What was the kind of the feeling?
I literally just before I called you, it was like, I got an email last night from one of the executive producers about, setting up, should we come back or should the network want us to come back for our next cycle, whenever that's going to be? Like, when do they want us to start up? Do they want us to start off sort of have them doing like home diary cams of what's going on? Or, what is it? And no one really knows yet.
Yeah, I was talking to someone in Chicago I'm going to talk to next week, and he was saying that he's on Chicago PD is the name of the show, and he's in that case they're dealing with talent, and the studio's thinking about liability for all of the actors, which you guys may not be quite the same because it's reality.
Yeah,
but you still have to think about all those things.
Yeah, I mean we're traveling, so like these cast members or kids, or they're not kids anymore, but whatever, people that are on our show, like we're traveling from all over, so they're going. I mean, so our risk factor is way more than theirs, depending on what town they're in too. So like we're traveling through airports, so it's like a lot of things it's going to be different. It's going to be different. We usually like a team of like 7 to 9 people, depending on what the situation is, and so like flying into their hometowns and going into their houses, and so it's going to look different for a while. It's just, what is that different going to be? So
listen to you talking like a producer. I know that's what you are. I know you are a producer.
I know I am. I'm a line producer. I don't know, but it's interesting. Like I always, I'm sure we'll get into that, but like I met you being on the other side of being in front of the camera.
Right.
And that's sort of always what I wanted to do, I thought. But like my degree at Michigan State was television production behind the scenes. But, as things happen, it's just, this is how it happened.
Right. I know. So tell me, I guess, so I do want to hear, because I did, when I was going through some of your photos and everything, so it looked like that you had met your husband very early on.
Yes.
That there many years went by before you guys got together again. So, and you said he was an actor. So because I've been looking at him like, what would he have been in? Because he looks vaguely
commercials.
Familiar. What is it?
He's in commercials.
Commercials. Okay.
So, yeah, he's in commercials. And so you might have seen him in commercials. I mean, recently he just shot an Applebee's commercial, which is sort of like how he's been affected, because like that commercial is not going to air anytime soon.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's like going out to eat, and like I don't even know what that's going to look like. I mean, maybe it will, but I don't. I mean, it probably would have aired already, being honest, but probably maybe it will air at some point. We're hoping,
Sure.
Sure. So go ahead. Sorry, I digress.
No. How did you guys meet? So he's in the business and you were in the business, and then tell me about that.
Well, you know, I met him. I came to New York City. You know, I'm from Michigan. For those, I'm from Michigan, and I went to Michigan State. And I came to New York City for an internship. I think back, like, how did I even find an internship in New York City? But like, that's a whole nother thing. Like way back then, we didn't even have internet. It was just like starting.
I know.
So anyway, I came to New York City on an internship at NBC. And then, but I had like no money. I didn't come from it. So like I had to get a job. So like I just like walked the streets to find a restaurant job. So I found this restaurant job, waiting tables. Like I barely waited tables in college, but like it's different from New York City. But I got this job miraculously, and you know, as a waitress, and John was working there. So that's how many years ago that was.
Okay. All right.
And he was already graduated, and he was doing his acting thing. Like he was, you know, doing like a guest sort of role, Officer Adams on Another World or Days of Our Lives, one of those ones. So he was like, you know, doing his thing. And I met him at the restaurant, and we just sort of hit it off as friends, and I liked him more than a friend, but we were just flirty with each other. So, you know, then I go back to school, internship's over. We stay in touch a little bit, but not really. I mean, you know, it was different. No cell phone, you know.
Sure. No texting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no texting. It was like whatever we could by calling each other or whatever, but it didn't really go anywhere. So then after I graduated from college, I stayed at home for a little bit. Then I got a job.
What year? Was it 96 you graduated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I graduated college in 96, and I stayed home for about a year, and I just worked at a restaurant, just trying to figure out what I was going to do. Yeah. And then I got a job as a page at NBC through my connections from the internship.
Right.
So I was a page for, you know, I mean, I think people know what pages are. Just that sitcom was out with the page. I'm forgetting the name of it, but anyway, I was a page. So that was like the best, like the greatest experience that I could have had coming to like a big city. To be honest, because I didn't know a lot of people. I knew a few people from my internship and from, you know, being at the restaurant, but I didn't, you know a lot of people. So you just get immersed into this sort of like a sorority or fraternity. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
And so I was a page. And then from there, you know, we're talking about John. So John, I would hang out with him once in a while, but we never really like got serious. We would like hang out, even though like I loved him. I was like, I love John Mattey, and I weren't used to, but it just like never went anywhere. And he always joked, he's like, "Oh, I liked you too. You didn't like me." I'm like, okay, you did not. You were like, he was doing his thing, but whatever. We were just we just sort of dated here and there and hung out once, and it never went anywhere. So anyway, so years down the line, we lost touch. Whatever. I would see him here and there in commercials, and then Facebook came about, and like cell phones and things. And so then I was working on the street one day.
That sounds terrible, by the way.
I know, that did sound terrible. Let me restart that over. I was shooting something, and it was at like a little cafe. So I was standing on the street working. Like, you know, we were like quartered off, and we were working at a headset and walking on and stuff. And he walked by, and this was like 2008. And so we sort of like, I was like, hey, I was dating someone. He was whatever. But I was like, oh my God, you know, still had that. Either way, so we exchanged numbers. He contacted me later and was like, do you want to have a drink? But I was like, I have a boyfriend. So I was like, I can't, you know. So time had passed again, but we still sort of on Facebook and things, you know. He contacted me. Then I contacted him one time, and he never responded. So I was like, oh, he must have a girlfriend now. And, you know, little things in there. And then here we are like 20 years later now, right? And so I'm still like, I'm single at this point, you know, not married, never been married, no kids. I happen to look him up on Facebook or see him on Facebook, and I'm like, I think he might be single now. And I was like at that point where I was like, I'm ready to date again, because I'd gone through like a breakup. Yeah. So I messaged him, and he was living in LA. He had moved to LA.
Oh, okay.
And so I messaged him, and I said, hey, I'm going to be in LA, because I was doing a reunion show. You know what a reunion show is, like a live studio audience for a cast. So we were doing one of those with our cast, and I said, I'm going to be in LA. you want to grab a drink? And he responded right away. This was like in 2014. He responded right away. And then when I got there, like, it's just literally, we just picked up where we left off and we just started dating. And then by September or October of that year, we just went, we went back and forth that whole year. And then by October, he was back in New York City and he had moved in. We got engaged in like the 2015 in April. And I was like, well, we have to get pregnant first. Yeah. So then that's what happened.
Right.
So he was just doing his acting thing in LA too.
Yeah.
So, he was just in commercials. But that's sort of like the avenue he went down. And he did some like independent films and stuff like that, and guest starring roles but little things. But commercials is sort of where the avenue he went down.
Okay. Well, it's great. I'm sure. I mean, I was so happy to see like on Facebook when it all happened, and I'm like, it was like
crazy. Like, he never been married. He had never had kids. Like, and it was like someone 20 years ago. So it was like,
well, the timing finally worked out. We have a big saying in our house. It's all about the timing. So
it really is. It really is.
Yeah, it is. So tell me, for the people that don't know who are watching, like, what is a line producer? Because I think it might be a little bit different, or maybe it's the same thing as in movies as it is in television. And then how did you end up like having that be what you're doing?
Yeah. So I've never done film. I don't do film. I just sort of stayed in the avenue of TV, and honestly, it's all been reality, mostly docu-series type shows. So,
which really didn't even exist when you went to New York, right? So that whole industry kind of opened up, right?
What, reality? Yeah.
Yeah, reality. Wasn't even like something that you could do or think.
No. I started out like doing like, I think like the first big show that I worked on was called The Awful Truth with Michael Moore. I don't know if you remember, it was on Bravo. It was sort of like a reality, but it was not scripted. It wasn't a script show. So a line producer basically is we create the budget for, the series. And then I'm sort of under the umbrella of production management. I think that's like that for film too. But we are like the umbrella production manager. So we handle all the logistics, all of the planning. We hire the people. We pay the people. We book their flights. We do, find the location manager if there is one. If not, we find the locations, and I sort of like am at that top or tier of that umbrella of production management, where it's like, we manage all the logistics and the money and the budgeting. Like, people have to come to me for approval when it comes to like if it's not budgeted, can we spend money on that? And then I will work it through with them. Is that like that in film? I'm assuming it's similar.
I think so. I am trying to, I was listening to you kind of, I'm trying to like figure out, I think people are watching, but I can't I can't see their comments. And so this is only my second broadcast. And so I'm still trying to figure it out on how you're supposed to
do this.
How you're supposed to do this. So I guess whoever's watching, I'm really sorry that I can't see your comments.
It's probably my husband.
There's like 7 people. We've got an audience of 6 or 7 now. So
really?
Very exciting. So yes, I think it's very similar in film for sure.
In film, yeah. So we just handle all the logistics, and like I have a production manager underneath me and the coordinator, and then all the PAs, and we're like we like put out the fires.
Yeah. So how long has this show been going on? The one that you're working on now?
Oh wow, this has been on
Teen Mom. Is that what it's called?
It's called Teen Mom. So it's a franchise basically now. So it started out as like 16 and Pregnant. I did not work on that show with 16 and Pregnant, and then it morphed and it spin off to Teen Mom. They picked 4 girls from that 16 and Pregnant series, and it was called Teen Mom. And then from that show, they did another 16 and Pregnant, and it became Teen Mom 2. They picked some girls, and so now I work on Teen Mom OG. We call it the original girls. That's literally our logo is TMOG.
Okay.
So it's been on for 10 years with like a break in between. They went on hiatus, or they like stopped down for a little bit and then brought it back. So, but 10 years is the span. I have been on it for about 7 years now, going on 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a long time. I started doing Teen Mom 2 though. And then I sort of bounced around the franchise. And at one point I was doing all of them. I was like the only line producer and I was doing everything. I was doing Teen Mom 2, Teen Mom OG. I was doing the specials that we have. And I was like single, no kids. And I was like, whatever, I'll just do it all. Right. But then that came to a halt. Once you have a kid, like the whole, it's just like everything changes. Like,
yeah, so. I think I remember like the first 2 or 3 years is just being exhausted all the time. Like never getting enough sleep. And just like being tired and driving, like that seems to be my main remembrance of trying to work. I mean, I was also doing some really good work at the time. So it was like, you don't want to leave it because you finally like have gotten to this point where you are really like, I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And you can't stop because you really got to do what you want to do. And but you're also trying to like nurse and, like be do all the reading and all the things that are supposed to be fun. So I will tell you that 4 is my absolute. Your son's 4 right now, right? Yeah. It's my favorite age. Really, it's such like because I think their vocabulary starts to emerge in their personalities, and they still so love you. They are so in love with you.
So in love.
Yes, it's so wonderful, and they, like maybe they're not in school full time or it's not like real school yet. So it's a great age. So you're lucky that this time that you have is that age, because my daughter is 13 and that is not.
I imagine my sister tells me about her teenagers and she's like, embrace this. It's the best. I wish. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's been a challenge. I will say it's been a challenge. Sure. I was doing all of this stuff. And then and at one point when I was pregnant, it was like, I could, like, even when I was pregnant, I had a really hard pregnancy. So I was doing all this stuff. And by like the time I was like 6 months pregnant, I was like, I can't do this. So I was like, I literally can't do. And I'm like, it's right. So I'm whatever. So I'm like, I cannot do all of this. I was like exhausted just from pregnancy. I'm like, what is it going to be? So we brought another line producer who happened to be the line producer before me, but she came back. So it was like a perfect situation. So she just like came back. She filled in for me during maternity leave. It was super challenging coming back because like this job that I have now, it can be super demanding because of reality, but yet it's like the perfect situation for me in a lot of ways, which I will never give it up. They'll have to like shut the show down before because it is like 7 days a week. I would say that's like, but I'm in the office. So I'm in the office 5 days, but like we work weird hours because it's reality. So like I'm still answering calls at 10 o'clock if something comes up. Yeah. But then I can go in the office at 11 o'clock if I need to. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like,
so it's got flexibility to it. Sure.
Exactly. It's not, I have to be flexible with the job, but it's got flexibility with me. Right. So like it just works perfect for my situation. And like I have struggled a lot with like going back to work and not being like a full-time mom, which I did not think that I would want to do at all. I thought, I've been this career person my whole life. Like I'm going to want to go back, but it like hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, I struggle every day walking out that door, leaving, and I'm in a great situation though. Cause like my husband and I, we have decided like at first he was working at a restaurant and, doing his acting stuff, but then that was too crazy. Like it was insanity because he would be working at night and So we finally, it just got to the point where, he's staying home. So he's the stay at home.
The primary parent, right? Yeah.
He's the stay at home dad. And like, he does, a role reversal. I mean, I don't know if it's role reversal anymore. I mean, things have changed, but yeah.
Well, I think it's still more unusual for the guy to be for the dad to be the primary parent, but it's, less so for sure. There's a gaffer that I know, his wife's a doctor and he's been he's been the primary parent and he works 10. So I know I could have worked more. I would like to be working more, but every time I tried to do it, because my husband owns his own business, it would just take our life into total insanity. And I still tried to do as much as I can to stay in it, but I'm still the one like doing most of the stuff. But then, again, it just goes so fast. So I've been just trying to remind myself, like, I just try and be patient and do enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay current and to know what's going on and like, try technology out and everything. So that's where I've been.
Yeah.
So tell me what happened, because I have to say we're going to watch the trailer.
Okay.
But before we do that, tell me what happened, or when did you decide like the acting thing was not going to be what you were going to do to make a living ever? So when did you make that choice, and how much acting did you do in New York?
Well, I did a lot, and I think it was always sort of in my heart to want to do it, but then it just became so challenging to try to survive, and I never fully just like dove into being an actor and like accepting that, you have to live poor for a while, or you have to have, like I always felt this struggle of like, I need to have a career and like money coming in. I couldn't be that person to just like, let me just live really at a struggling pace. And I was struggling as it is, even in production. So, I just could never make that leap. And so I was doing a lot. Can you hear me okay?
Well, I can hear you fine. And I think that I just wanted to say that, like, you like myself, we're not coming from legacy entertainment families. And, it's so much different. Like for a while there, I was like looking at Sofia Coppola, who's my contemporary, like I should be doing what Sofia Coppola is, but how is that even possible? So, you can't just, like Meg Ryan and her daughter, like you can't just, you don't have that entry laid out for you.
Right. And it's like money is a factor. It's like it's
a huge factor.
It's a huge factor. And it's like, I didn't come, even if I didn't have any like entertainment, like leads to like, which I didn't, but I still didn't come from money. Like I came from like very like working class, middle, like lower middle class, so, granted, a lot of people have made it and have become, whatever, but it just didn't work out that, I don't know if I had the personality for it. I thought I did, but in reality, it just wasn't. I had that struggle, or maybe I did, or maybe I felt the guilt. I don't know what it was of like having to survive and do it. And then it became this, like, I'm doing theater on the side, which I did a lot of like, off Broadway stuff. I did stuff. I did do it. And I was with a small like theater company, but it just it felt like such a burden after a while. I was just running myself.
It wasn't fun anymore.
No, it wasn't fun, because I was trying to like balance, like I'm working TV and I didn't know production schedules all the time, and like trying to like be in this play where I gotta tell people, well, I can't go on this shoot. And it was just like, it just became too much. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just, I'm not gonna be a son.
And I think that's, it's like, I was doing feature film work and doing like various roles on that, and still living in Michigan. And it just became like, it wasn't fun enough to keep working the kind of hours and not have a consistent living.
Yeah.
So, but I think it turned out great. I mean, you listen to you, you're like, it's like a totally different, we were like children before. So,
oh my gosh.
So let's take a look. I'm going to show, I think I'm able to share it. I haven't
seen this in a long time.
I know. Well, I looked at when I posted on Facebook, and that was like already 9 years ago. So it was 25 years ago that we started.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I think I can share this like right here. We go. It's all right.
Brown hair. Remember, you dyed my hair.
I think you might be able to hear it too. So here we go.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you what happened? It could have happened to any one of us.
Too much. She didn't want to sleep with her. Why don't you just calm down and we'll talk about this?
Stop it. There must be something.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry this had to happen to you.
Wow.
I have to say, Carrie, like out of all of my experiences this was my favorite like acting experience. I was terrible.
Are you kidding? I don't think you were terrible at all.
I'm judging myself, but I had to say, like, this is one of my, and maybe because it was all new, and like it was such a great group of like people that you put together for
It
this.
was so special. I tell you, it was a really special thing that we were able to do. It really was.
And like I had that on my acting resume, like highlighted, like that was like my biggest thing. Like to me, even still I talk about it, I'm like, well, I was an independent film. You know, we shot in 35 millimeter, which people are like, what's that? People like, well, that's 35 millimeter because people don't film, people shoot on, you know, but like at the time that was awesome. Remember?
It's still a big deal now to have shot in 35 millimeter. I mean, to have been able to tell people that that's what we did.
Yeah.
And look at you girls.
Oh my gosh. I don't see April as much on like social media, but I still see like Trisha and Sarah.
I think April is doing marketing like as her job. So she probably doesn't do much. I mean, I think if it was your job, you wouldn't want to be on social all the time. So
yeah.
That's why we don't see her there. But yeah. Outfits and everything.
Oh my gosh. But you know what's so funny is like those crop tops are now coming back in. Like
I know. I was looking at that top. I was like, oh gosh, I guess that's what people were wearing back then. So,
I don't know, but Oh yes. Oh my gosh.
This your house? No. This wasn't your house where you were living? I think so.
Yes, I think it was.
It was. Oh, because we shot the party there.
Yep. Is that Adam right there?
No, that's not Adam. That's not Adam.
Yeah.
There's Rebecca. She's selling real estate in LA.
I see her on Facebook, and she had a baby too.
Yes, she
around
did.
the same time as me.
Her baby's three.
Yeah, like a little bit after me.
This guy moved out to I think his name's Matt. He moved out to LA and worked on the camera department. There's Lon.
Okay, Lon. Yeah, Lon.
With dark hair. This is your basement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't tell who that is.
I don't know a lot of these people. Let's see. There's our camera. There's Shannon.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy. So Louis on the left here, because he was in this movie, he got into the film business. So I do know that. And he works as a gaffer in Chicago still.
Okay.
So he's still in the business. Jeff does something too, but I'm not quite sure what. I still don't know how DJ makes any money making movies, but
oh my gosh.
So he does independent movies or something. I'm sure
a lot. He does a ton. I see him all the time on social media. And that was Matt, right? Is that his name, Matt? The other actor.
This guy down here, Matt Murdock, right?
Yeah, Matt. I wonder why I haven't seen him on social.
He's in Chicago too, but I don't know what he's doing. Oh, look at it. There you are.
That's the basement.
Giving you the side eye.
Remember we dyed my hair dark and cut it. That's the shortest I've ever had my hair. And recently I just cut my hair. It's been really long.
Well, I just remember that when Tim Monet, so we shot this movie 11 days in 3 chunks. We did it in the fall, then we did it 2 days before Christmas maybe or something, and then in May of the same year. So it was really spread out in the time. And we had the picture of you to show, and that we showed it to Tim, and then we like looked at you and looked at the picture, and it was like identical, months apart. And it was the first time, anything had happened like that. Like, oh my gosh. So anyway, he was super talented and be able to match that because that really helped make it. So she's an attorney. She's living in New York too.
Who is that?
That's Jen Scalakos. She was one of the producers.
Oh yeah. What's her name again? Jess or Jen?
Jennifer Scalakos.
Oh my gosh, I have to look her up. Yeah, she's in New York.
Yeah, and interestingly enough about Jen, so she does something in global, like talent management. I think that's. I don't know I really don't know what that means, but she's also really active in Spartans in New York, and so the whole thing was happening with Nasser over like the whole gymnastics. All that stuff. Yeah. She called me and we went and we met with Engler at MSU, and because of this work and because of other things that I've done since that time, and he didn't really fix it either. So we'll see what happens going forward at Michigan State. And I think that I think people are still like we told the story right 25 years ago. So anyway, oh, here I am, tired, but still looking good because I'm only 23.
Isn't that crazy?
I know. Oh, there's Sarah. Sarah Trish.
Oh, this is such a great time. Honestly, like even thinking back, like one of my greatest experiences. I'm saying that honestly, it was such a great, like even just like acting in front of the camera and just like I didn't really know a lot about television and film and stuff. So it was just really great. It was just great. And what a great group of people too. Like it was fun.
Yep.
It was fun. Like it didn't feel like sometimes TV feels stressful now. I'm like, where's those fun times? You know?
Right. I know. And I'm still kind of like, I don't know. I'd love to do it again. Look at that baby. I'm a baby.
I know, me too. Oh my gosh. Doesn't even look like me. Dark hair.
I don't remember it being that dark, but I guess it's darker blonde than your hair is now.
Well, we dyed it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there. I don't know. All right. Well, that's enough of that. But
I loved it. I loved it. I still have the DVD of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I thought I was going to make more movies like that, but then it just didn't. I don't know. I ended up.
You still can.
What's that?
You said
Yes, I still can. I think, well, I'm not dead yet. And, I think part of it is that having done enough other work or even like some of the documentary work I do, you just become so invested in something for so many years that unless I really have something to say, it's so much time and so much money and like all of it that's wrapped up in that. And I think yeah.
You think you passed it or you think you would do it again?
I think I actually recently started thinking that I might do something again that would be like a feature film, but it's like trying to know the right people so that like the cast has to be right so that the movie actually gets seen, because I've made work that we show it to one audience, but then it really doesn't go beyond that. And sometimes it's like, well, was it worth all that sacrifice? Was it worth all it took to make it and not to have to watch it?
I know. It's interesting too. Like we came from like such a different era of like getting things out there. Now there's like so much.
I know.
Like it's like saturated with like so much stuff. That's like a good and bad thing because there is so much content out. But there's so many ways to get your content out too. So it's like how you use that too, I guess, is like. But I don't. It's a different world.
It is. And I never thought I would be on camera like I've been in the last even 3 months. I think I've been on camera more in 3 months than I have in like my whole entire 30 years prior. So, and I guess it's just kind of necessary right now in order to do the networking and everything that you need to do. So. Is
your daughter's an artist. I've seen her work.
Well, she used to do a lot more, but now they're all doing what is this? Those short videos, TikTok.
Oh, TikTok.
TikTok.
Yes,
like that's constantly what she's been doing. So, and the way that kids approach it, it's just like it's so natural for them to do. I didn't even think about it. Like I still get nervous about doing this interview. Like 3 people are watching. Okay, hi. I get nervous about.
I know.
Sitting down and talking, like all of it, trying to make sure everything's right. I've got the right thing. And then like the kids, they just like, whoop, they turn the phone on. So they don't even think about it. So
it's crazy. It's such a different world. Like being in front of the camera is not as glamorous or as like sought. Because they can do it every day. I mean, they have their own audiences that they're building just on their Instagram.
Yeah. And I'm like, why didn't I do a YouTube channel like 15 years ago? Why didn't I? Or why? Like, I know. What was I waiting for? So it'll be interesting to see how all this COVID business, like how do we start getting back into production and how do people adapt differently? So I don't know.
I mean, what is that? Like, that's the big question. Like, what is that? Like for like maybe film it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know how. I mean, the big question for me is like, even like New York, how does New York
like turn back on?
Like how do I go onto the subway again and feel comfortable like this next to someone crammed, like, you know what I mean, where I was 6 weeks ago, you know what I mean?
Right.
How
testing, until there's testing and some kind of, something that you can take.
National support.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's the question for everybody. It's like, and I don't know how this will affect me down the line, because like if the network decides, we're going to just take, I don't think they will, because, they need content too. So they're going to figure out a way to do this, whether it's just diary cams and doing these, whatever it ends up being. It won't be like this beautifully shot stuff, but like it'll still be content in a different way.
Right.
Will I have to take a pause and before they figure? I don't know. Like right now, I'm good for a few more months, so we'll see.
Well, and there's so much money wrapped up in all of it. That's part of it too, right? Like, because there's probably enough content that exists, you could just keep recycling what's already in the world. Like, the James Bond movies, just keep showing those movies. I mean, it's like
no, you can just rapidly what you
right. There's stuff that you can still produce, but I mean, all of these jobs and the money, and then also the creative output. Like, this is what we're supposed to do. So,
I have to say that, like, I've been amazed at, like, we sort of said this in the very beginning. I don't know if we were on or not, but like, it just, everything shut down so abruptly, right? But like the TV, like, found a way, is still finding a way, and media, this way is still to broadcast, and whatever it is from your home, and it's like, it just didn't stop. Like, I'm like, what's going to happen? But and it's happening. Even they had that special. Did you watch that special? What was it called?
The global one?
The global one.
Yes.
I knew people that worked, like someone that worked on it. I was like, I didn't talk to them, but I mean, I found out from social media they worked on it. But it's just, they just like instantly went into gear. Okay, well, what are we going to do?
Right.
And they did it, So it's sort of amazing to me that, so it'll get figured out. It might be a little tricky.
Yes. And, I think people want to be doing something, right? For me, it took me a while. Like, what am I gonna do?
This is amazing. So, this is amazing. I mean, just because it's different for everybody too. Everyone, you're interviewing people from different areas, so it's like it will be different for different people,
right,
throughout the United States. Like for New York, like we're in the worst situation. Michigan's bad too.
Michigan's bad, yeah.
It's so bad. I mean, and it's so bad here. Like, I was just looking last night, because we try to stay away from the news a little bit, but I'm still, it's like, we have, like 280,000 or whatever it is, people that have got it and, contracted it. It's like, that's like so much of the population, right, so far, that have, just in this small, dense area. It's just crazy to me, and then Michigan's so bad too. It's funny, like so right before this all happened, like I had planned this like last minute trip to Michigan, and things were starting to like bubble up here in New York with COVID, and it was happening in that New Rochelle area. I don't know if you remember that. It seems like a lifetime ago. It was like 6 weeks ago or whatever it was, but we were planning this last minute trip, like literally last minute. It was like Tuesday, and we were going to leave Friday. My nephew was in.
I saw that. He's a wrestler or something.
Yes. And so I think it was probably Ford Field's last big event. It was like a huge at Ford Field. Mm-hmm. So we decided, but all this stuff started bubbling up, and my husband was like not really comfortable flying. He's like, with this whole coronavirus, I just don't want to fly. I was like, well, let's just drive. So we hopped in the car, we drove. And that Monday, when we got back, Michigan had no cases. But they were like testing someone came back from Italy. So by that Monday, when we drove back, this is crazy, because we drove back, and on the way back, I started to feel feverish. And I'm like, it's freezing in here. He's like, Jen, it's 65 in the car. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have a fever. And I had a fever. I came home that night, crawled into bed, and was like down for the count. Had a dry cough. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. But what ended up happening is I went to the doctor the next day, or I called my doctor. They said, go to this clinic. They probably won't give you a COVID test, because unless they might, but I doubt it. She's like, don't come to me. I don't want you on the subway. But what they ended up doing is giving me a flu test. And I got positive for flu type A. And they never gave me COVID. So I was already home that week.
Okay.
So I had stayed home that whole week. And then by that Friday is when I was still on the phone doing work. So it just blew up. And
Right.
then things start. So by Friday, our company, on Thursday, like there were people in our office that had in that building that tested positive. And by Friday, like they shut the buildings down. Like, and then that Monday, I think the last time I really went out and did anything was that Sunday because I was finally feeling better from the flu. And then we haven't really done anything since. And that was March 15th.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what's it like for you?
You know, it's just very quiet. I mean, we're still like maybe 20 miles outside of Detroit. So I've gone down a couple times to get some pickup from restaurants down there. And just, it's, you know, it's like, you know, Easter Sunday every day as far as people. And, you know, my neighborhood, you know, there's just a lot, people are out walking around, but that's about it. And there's so many like little specialty as far as stores to buy things. So my husband does most of the shopping and I just give him a list and he takes care of it. So, you know, but just the shutdown of the schools and, you know, trying to keep the kids apart. I think that we're fortunate. Like we've been trying not to do electronics a lot. I mean, it's really hard as far as pre-COVID. And now it's like, well, I guess it's good because she's actually staying in touch with her friends and it doesn't feel that much different, I think, for a kid. It's just like the weekend all the time. I mean, she does want to get together face to face, but at least she's able to stay connected with her friends. So
yeah,
I think it's been,
even with like my 4-year-old, like he is definitely a very inquisitive child. Like he's just a question child, and four is awesome. Like you said, 4 is awesome. He started talking very early, so he's been like his vocabulary has been strong for a long time, but now it's like through, you know, so he he was just one of those kids, like he has like other things that he lagged, like his like separation anxiety is like through the, like he doesn't like to be, so for him, this is like the greatest thing in the world. Mom and dad are home every day. Mom's home. Like, you know, for the first 3 weeks, it was like insanity. I thought I was going to lose my mind because we were crazy at work. And he was like, Mom. I was like, I can't do this. But now you've got
like a schedule. And so you've kind of gotten used to things. So let me ask you, so if someone wants, I just want to ask you about, like, if someone's going to move to New York now, not maybe right now, but if someone wanted to be a line producer, or what is the best way to do that now? How do you get in?
Yeah, how do you get in?
Like, are there still paid jobs at NBC?
There are still there are pages at NBC. I think the process is a little different. I don't even know what the process is, but I would definitely say look into that. Look into the page system, because it's just, you're just immersed with like a bunch of the same type of people that are looking to like get into, you know, this entertainment world in whatever fashion. And some people I know that are pages are now like entertainment lawyers, or, you know, some people are in front of the camera, some people are producers. So it's just I mean, I'm still friends with, you know, so many people from that, you know, some people got out of it, you know, whatever. That is a great, and there's CBS pages too, and there's NBC pages. I don't think ABC has anything, but
and what do people have to do to be like a teen mom? Like, how do they? I mean, not they don't want to encourage that, I guess, but I guess what do you tell them as far as getting camera ready? Like, how do people get ready to be on the show for you?
You mean for like to be in front of the camera?
Yeah.
Like in what way?
As is? Do they just show up as is, or do you like do any coaching for them?
Oh, no coaching. No coaching. I mean, I think so. Like for our show, we are probably, it's interesting because there are a lot of like reality shows, and they're like semi-scripted reality show. But I would say our show, and I'm not going to speak for the other reality shows out there, but our show is pretty like, there's no scripting. There's no, you know, we might, you know, there might be things where it's like we're talking on the phone with them all the time. So not myself, but like their producers are on the phone with them all the time, and like setting up what we're not embedded there. So we're setting up when we're going to come down, and that's, you know, for their life. It's just we film or we shoot around what's happening in their life.
So tell me, like, what kind of crew is making all this happen? So when you're hiring people and setting them out, how many people are showing up and shooting with these kids?
So we have like 2 main camera people. We have like an AC media manager, and that AC will pick up a camera also sometimes. So we send them out with like a package of 3 cameras. But the AC is obviously a
Doing data.
The media and the data and the gear too. They're like setting up the gear. We have an audio person, an audio mixer. We have security. We send security out all the time with us because the girls are sort of, they're in the media a lot. They're on the magazines. They're they have a presence, in their town. So we send security out with us. We have a field producer and a unit manager. So, and then we hire local PAs.
Mm-hmm. So pretty small.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty small. We get rent 2 minivans. It's like run and gun. We are really just running and gunning and shooting it. And we do set things up in terms of if they're saying well, this week I want to go to a nail salon, we have to talk to them about the nail salon that is going to be available to us to shoot. So that stuff is set up. But in terms of what's happening in their life.
And then who hires someone like you when you get hired by the network?
I got hired
by too. Yeah.
So I got hired by the network through the executive producers who are also freelance.
Right.
Yeah. So they're freelance too.
Yeah.
So
they essentially pitch their show to the network. The network pays the executive producer. The executive producer is paying you.
Well, not really. This is it's sort of a unique situation. I would say a lot of shows now are third party, and so the network will commission a third party to produce, and they'll give them a budget, and they just do it themselves, and they'll report back to the network. In this situation, it's a little bit. It's actually a network show. It's produced in-house.
Okay.
So, but we're all freelancers that work on the show. For the majority, there are a network team that are assigned to the show that I would have to report to in terms of talking to them about cost reports and where we are with the money. Yeah. But so it's a little bit different. And we are internal, but we're all freelancers, So,
sure.
So I got hired by one of the executive producers who then interviewed me, and they liked me, and then I had to interview at the network. But then for someone like me, who's going to hire the crew, so they don't really get involved when it comes with our camera team or our production team or the producers or the unit managers or the coordinators. That would come from myself and the executive producers.
Okay.
So, how would you get hired on the show? Was that the question, or was it in front of the camera?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just saying, wanting to know more about how it all happened. So, is there a show that you kind of would love to do that you haven't had a chance yet? You're doing kind of what you want to do right now.
Yeah.
But what do you think would be next?
If
something totally different, if you could pick whatever you wanted to do in the business, what do you think that would be?
I think I would want to do children's television. I have always wanted to work on Sesame Street. That is something I would want to get out of reality if that came about. Reality has just been my thing, and
maybe with all the babies of the teen moms.
Yeah, you could. It's so funny though, because all the babies now on the Teen Mom are turning 12.
Okay.
Really, they've been on the show for this long. But I think that would be something that's always in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Sort of I wish I could work on Sesame Street or some sort of show like that, or that has a different content and a different meaning. I watch Sesame Street and I love it with my child. I never want him to grow out of Sesame Street. I never. So that's just one thing I would want to do, or write a children's book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would want to do, but I'm going to stay here. It seems for me, reality seems to be, or docuseries type stuff, seems to be where I gravitate to or I'm the most comfortable with. I did one time, I did a show. It was not scripted, but it was it was called My Life is a Lifetime Movie. And it was what's that called? I'm blanking right now. Reenactment. It was a reenactment.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's these little films.
Right.
And I was working for a third party too. So working for a third party is different than working for a network.
Yeah.
Third party, there's a lot of bonuses to that,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of, you're wearing multiple hats. So it's a little harder. So I hated it. It was just maybe if it was for a network, I had more support, I would like it, but I just didn't. I liked it for the change, I guess, but it ended up being just too much.
Right.
So. I don't know.
Well, Jen, it's been wonderful talking to you.
No, I'm so happy to reconnect with you, and I would like to stay connected with you more.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I'm still traveling back to Michigan. My family's all there. I always have like thoughts of wanting to come home too. So if I ever did.
Yeah. Well, I know that, some my friends that didn't have kids, I always tell them, like, once she's graduated, like the year I think she's 2024. Like, then I can do all kinds of things.
Oh yeah.
Travel again. The things will open up. So
yeah, well, I would love to. Like, if I ever came back to Michigan and like you're still doing this and I am too, like I would love to sort of figure out a way to like connect and do another project. I don't know. Who knows?
Thank you. It was really amazing. And I thought, I mean, I still watch it and I still think you and everyone was incredible.
I mean, I love it still too. I have, I'm very picky about when I watch myself. Oh, I should have done that, or but it was one of the greatest experiences that I had. I think it like really helped me.
And the fact we knew so little, about all of it. Yeah, I remember I showed up and I had a first assistant director, and he's like, "So what kind of shots are you thinking about?" And I was like, "I'm supposed to make a shot list."
I mean, like,
I had no idea. I really hadn't thought about it because I'd cast, we cast it and raised, like, there were all these things I did know, but I was like, oh, shot list. Well, that's why I have the AD to tell me that that's what I'm supposed to do. So
how did you know, like, just having the, like, want to do it is so amazing to me. Like, and just like having that desire, and then you did it. Like, you did it. Like, that's awesome. Like, you have that in you. Like, you could totally do it again, like, when the timing's right, if you wanted to, because you have that in you.
Yes. Well, it's in there. It's percolating.
Well, when the time is right, when the time is right.
That's right. It's all about the timing, as we said. So
look at my husband and I.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, whoever was watching, our last couple of people, they've been in and out during the whole podcast. So I'm going to know. What's that?
To know, like, who was on, like, when you post it, like.
I think it'll show me how many people watched, and a lot of people comment. Like, they'll comment in the thread. I have to ask my friend who does this, like, how she can see the comments, because that's kind of what we're missing. But then I'll take it down to because we've talked for almost an hour, so I'll cut that down to something.
Yeah.
On different social platforms. And then I'm going to post it somewhere that people can just find it, so that people that want to be a line producer or that want to know about how things were at this time.
You asked me, I don't think I answered your question about how they get into it. I would say PA, like, is like, I know, like, it's different now for people. PAs, like, oh, I can just do my own stuff and I can be a director and whatever. But I would say, like, it's like so important to just like have your feet on the ground and doing it, but like starting at a position where you can look and watch other people.
Yes.
I think that is so valuable. And like, I just hope like the generations coming up, because, they're in a different situation. They can just do everything themselves, but like, it's so valuable. Like, I can tell the difference of the people that had started out as PAs and worked themselves up. I can tell.
Yeah.
So that would be my last, like, sort of closing thought of like someone that's working this business. It's not a bad thing to start as a PA and work yourself up. It's actually a great thing.
Yes. Especially if you really want to work in New York or Los Angeles, or where they're doing this kind of professional content all the time.
Yeah.
That's really the way in. And then the people that you meet, the other people that you meet, are the people that you're going to work with for a long time.
And people will hire you over and over again if you become a valuable PA.
Yeah.
And then you're just in.
Right. So, that's great advice. That's great advice.
It's like, make yourself a valuable PA. If that's like and don't think like going to get coffee is like this, oh, I want to be in it. It's like, you will stand out if you're the best coffee person in the world. I mean, it sounds stupid, it's trivial, but like, or if you're the person, like, because it's important. People like coffee and it helps them get through the day or whatever it is, like, you will stand out. I notice them. I mean, so.
For sure. All right. Well, take care, you and your family, during this time. And
you too. You too. It's so great to see you, and stay safe and healthy, and hope to talk soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.